Hi, my name is and I will be talking about Experiment 4, What's in the Water from the Chem 120 lab report. What's in the water? Surface water contains a number of contaminants. These were taken as samples and used in infrared spectroscopy and nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy to identify the unknown compounds in a drinking water sample. These are the 15 potential contaminants that could be in each sample. Infrared spectroscopy measures the amount of infrared light absorbance to find which functional groups are present in each sample. These are the list of functional groups and the range of absorbance the peak should fall into. Nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy shows the number of peaks which correlate to the number of H atoms, and then the area under the peak shows the number of that particular type of H atom, and this uses radio waves to do that. So our first unknown infrared spectrum shows that we have a peak in the range of around 2900, which shows there's a CH single bond. Then there is a peak at around 1700 that shows C double bond O. And there is a peak around 600 which shows that there could possibly be a CBr functional group. This narrows the list of contaminants down to acetone, ethyl formate, ethyl acetate, and methyl acetate. Then we look at the NMR spectroscopy to see the different types of H's to narrow it down even farther. So this spectroscopy has 3 different peaks, so there's 3 different H atoms. Each peak has an area under it, and we can see that it's 1 to 1.5 to 1.5, which you always round your ratio to a whole number, so it's 2 to 3 to 3, which shows the specific types of each H. So the final structure possibility from this narrowed down list is ethyl acetate. Health risks for ethyl acetate are from the National Pollutant Inventory. It shows that small exposure can cause irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, also with nausea and vomiting, and larger exposure can cause cloudiness of the eyes, damage to the lungs, heart, livers, and kidney. Also from the National Pollutant Inventory, environmental health risks of ethyl acetate come from the emissions produced in factories, and it gets into the groundwater, which can also be consumed, and it contributes to smog, like shown. The second unknown infrared spectroscopy, there is a peak that falls in around like 3100, and so it says a CH benzene ring, and then there is a peak around 3000, and that shows a CH single bond. And there's also a peak around 800 which shows a CCl bond might be possible. So the narrowed down list goes to mesitylene and paraxylene. The second NMR spectroscopy shows that there are 2 peaks, which means there's 2 different H atoms. The peak ratios are 2 to 3, showing the different types of specific H's. This leads to the final structure possibility being paraxylene. Health risks for paraxylene from the NCBI U.S. National Library of Medicine shows that there can be headaches, irritation, and short-term memory loss, and ingesting paraxylene can cause nausea, vomiting, and gastric discomfort. From the same source, the environmental risks of paraxylene, they're discharged into the environment, again, from industries and like factories. This emission sinks into the ground, in the soil, and the water, and it can affect animals and humans when they drink it. The last unknown, the infrared spectroscopy shows that there's a peak around 2900, which is a CH single bond, and there is also a peak around 771, which shows there is a CCl bond. This narrows the list down to 1,2-dichloroethane, 1,4-dichlorobutane, and 2-chloropropane. Looking at the NMR, we can see that there is 1 peak, that means there is 1 different H atom. The final structure possibility, because of the infrared spectroscopy and the NMR spectroscopy, it shows that it is 1,2-dichloroethane. Health risks for 1,2-dichloroethane from the Agency of Toxic Substances and Disease shows that there can be a cause to the nervous system and damage it. There could be liver, kidney failure, and damages to the lung. From the same source, environmental risks of 1,2-dichloroethane show that the emissions from the factories gets into the air and it stays in there for a very long time because it's hard to be broken down. And the same thing happens when it is released into water, because it is very hard to be broken down in water because it's a very slow process. In conclusion, unknown compound 1 was found to be ethyl acetate, unknown compound 2 was found to be paraxylene, and unknown compound 3 was found to be 1,2-dichloroethane.